One of the hardest things to do as a youth coach is to find the best methods for holding youth players accountable. You strive to teach your players personal responsibility and accountability, which are essential life skills, but you don't want to be too hard on them where they're going to close up and become resentful. Accountability and responsibility are tough things to teach young players because even though most coaches have the best intentions, they come off as too strong and the players don't view it as teaching. In today's Bullpen Bulletin, we're discussing my 4 tips on the best ways to hold youth players accountable. Hey team, Coach Hart here with Building Better Baseball, the best place for baseball education. If you're new to the channel and want to learn something new about baseball every week, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a video. And for all coaches who need help planning their practices or making the most out of the time that they have, be sure to grab my free 2-hour practice plan, complete with 2 practice blueprints, linked in the description below. And if you're a player or a coach and you're looking to buy new equipment but you don't really know where to start, be sure to grab my free equipment guide linked below that explains everything about buying new equipment. Now, let's work together to help youth players learn accountability and personal responsibility. My first tip for holding youth players accountable is to encourage a team mindset, not a me mindset. Knowing how to be a part of a team is not the easiest thing to do for many people, but it's an essential skill that everyone should know how to do. Unless you grow up to be a solo worker who doesn't interact or work with anybody else, nearly every job in the world involves working on a team with other people. That's why learning how to be a part of a team is the biggest lesson or skill that young players learn in youth sports. If you're a coach and you're looking for the best ways to hold your players accountable, emphasizing a team mindset is a great place to start. If you help your players think more about the team than themselves, you'll have more success and more fun than you ever thought possible. The question that can be asked to help them understand is, how can I help my team today? When they ask themselves this question, they flip their mindset from a me mindset to a team mindset. Players who have a me mindset only think about themselves and what's best for them. They usually think they're the best players on the team and the team wouldn't be good without them. Players who think like this will only hurt your team because they're creating an environment that the other players don't even want to be in because they feel like there's no team mentality. This is a toxic situation for a team. The best thing to do when the season starts is to help all your players understand that the team comes first and no player is more important than the other. You all are one unit working together to accomplish one goal, and that's to win games and have fun playing baseball. With this mentality, your players will want to be responsible and hold themselves accountable for the betterment of the team. And that's a dream situation for a coach. My second tip for holding youth players accountable is to set your expectations early. One thing I always thought worked great with my players when focusing on accountability was setting my expectations at the beginning of the first practice. I didn't want there to be any confusion with my players on what's expected of them. This is a great way to set a tone for the season and let them know that I'm all about having fun playing baseball, but we also have to get work done and improve as a team. Let me clarify what these expectations were. First, I never set any expectations on physical talent or physical abilities for my players. I never told them that they had to throw a certain distance or hit a certain average or have no errors or anything like that. That would be absolutely unfair to them and would really hurt their development. No player should ever have to play scared because they think their coach will be upset or mad that they made a physical error or they couldn't make a play. Physical errors and different skill levels are part of the game, and that's what makes youth baseball such a great learning experience. Mental mistakes, like not knowing the situation or throwing to the wrong base, they're a little different. I never had expectations that they wouldn't happen, but I would emphasize to my players to really reflect on those mental errors and think about how they could be avoided for next time. This would help them figure out why they made the mental error, and they would raise their own expectations of themselves as a result. My expectations were all about sportsmanship, being a part of a team, and being a great teammate. I would tell my players, the cheering that you do will always be for your team and not against the other team. Or I would say, phones will not be allowed in the dugout during games or practices. Everyone will always be engaged in baseball. Or I would say, players will always give high fives to teammates coming into the dugout. Whether they just struck out or scored a run, you're going to pick them up. When expectations are set early in the season, you and your players will all be on the same page. No player is above the rules and everyone is held to the same standard. Setting these expectations will do wonders for your players and really help you hold them accountable during the season. My third tip for holding youth players accountable is do your best to prevent transfer of blame. I wanted to talk about transfer of blame because I think it's important for players to recognize it when it happens. It's something that is common among all people in the world, including myself. Transfer of blame is when something happens that is not intended, like an error in baseball, and the blame of why it happened is immediately transferred from the person to the outside world. In baseball, it could be a player saying, "I'm not pitching well because the mound is too short," or "I didn't hit the ball because the footholes in the batter's box are too deep." Or a really popular one is, "Man, it's too cold or hot outside, so I'm not playing my best." When the blame is transferred, players give themselves an out or a reason why it's not something they did or could control. They're releasing themselves of accountability and accepting that the mistake or error was out of their control. Now, this is a sensitive subject because most oftentimes, all of the reasons they're giving are true. It is cold, or it is hot, or the mound is short. But it's more of a mindset of learning that if the blame is put on the outside world, that means the mistake can never be changed or controlled because you can't change the fact that it's cold outside. And don't forget, it's also cold for the other team, and they're making the plays and they're hitting the ball. What you can change is yourself. When a player makes that shift of thinking from accepting that everything is out of their control and can't be changed to what can I do to make myself better so that doesn't happen again, that is where growth and accountability happen. They are shifting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, and that's a skill that can be used throughout their life to accomplish any goal they set for themselves. If you teach your players to prevent transfer of blame, you're fostering a team full of growth mindsets, and the sky is the limit with what your team can accomplish. My number 4 tip for holding youth players accountable is that players should carry their own bags. This tip will be short, but I wanted to touch on it because I think it's a simple and effective method for teaching young players responsibility. I believe players of all ages should carry their own bags. I think a player who carries their own equipment is learning the concept of responsibility and caring for the things that they have. The only situation I can understand a parent or coach helping is a young player under the age of 10 who catches and they can't physically carry the catcher's equipment. But I believe that if a parent or coach is carrying equipment that a player is fully capable of carrying themselves, they are missing out on a crucial teaching and learning moment of a life skill and responsibility and caring for the things that they have in life. If a player wants to have 4 bats in their bag, then they need to figure out how to carry that bag, or they don't get 4 bats. This is just my personal opinion, and it's one of the expectations I set for my team. I told them that I didn't want to see their parents carrying their bags. They can be responsible for their own bags. All of my players understood and had no problem with this. Plus, it made the parents happy as well because they were watching their kid learn about responsibility, and they didn't have to carry anything. Remember, if you want to teach your players accountability and responsibility, you can encourage a team mindset and not a me mindset. You can set expectations early, you can prevent transfer of blame, and you can have your players carry their own bags. You will be amazed at how fast your players mature into responsible young men and women because of these simple tips of accountability. If you're a coach watching this, leave a comment below and let me know one tip you're excited to implement in your next season for your players. I'd love to hear from you, and be sure to come back and let me know how it worked. And don't forget to grab your free practice plan and equipment guide in the description below. I'm here to help. Thanks for watching today's Bullpen Bulletin. I hope this video helped you in your search for appropriate and effective ways to teach your players about accountability and responsibility. Be sure to tune in next week for another edition of the Bullpen Bulletin.